Wuthering Waves is genuinely changing the gacha space, and I mean that in the best way possible. We reached a point where every month and a half or 2 months, I'm not just expecting a new update or a great story, I'm expecting a full-on event, something that sparks real excitement across the entire gacha community. It's not just about the game anymore, there's a ripple effect that spreads through the player base, the content creators, and the wider gacha scene. I mean, even I've basically become a Wuthering Waves review channel overnight, breaking down the story, diving deep into the lore, and sharing how it all feels. This is something that I used to do sparingly before, but I never thought that I would go this deep into reviewing a gacha story. And I'm not the only one. More and more gacha content creators are doing the exact same thing, talking about the story, reviewing each update, and fueling the conversation. The community is talking. Now the question is, what does this mean for everything else? What does it mean for your favorite gacha game? What does it mean for the future of this genre? This is what I want to dive into today. So if you enjoy this kind of content, make sure to drop a like and share your thoughts in the comments, especially how you think Wuthering Waves would impact the community moving forward. Will it be good, bad, or something else entirely? And of course, subscribe and hit the notification so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Alright, let's dive into it. Now, if you follow my channel for a while, you probably already know something important about the kind of content I make. I never stay blindly positive about anything I cover. Whether it's Genshin Impact, Wuthering Waves, or any other gacha game now or in the future, I make a conscious decision to stay balanced. That means giving criticism where it's due. I say all that to make this clear. Over the past couple of months, Wuthering Waves has made it really hard to stay neutral. I've said this before in another video, but the Renacita arc has been absolutely phenomenal. From version 2.0 all the way to 2.5, the Renacita story has been solid. It's genuinely hard to find something to criticize, not just the narrative, but the entire experience as a whole. Because when I played the most recent chapter, it hit me. Everything that we've gotten from 2.0 onward hasn't just been a story, it's been a full-on experience. These updates sparked discussion, debate, and even arguments. They stirred up real emotion in the community, and that kind of emotional investment is rare. And everything that we've had so far made me pause and think back to where Wuthering Waves started. You see, version 1 of Wuthering Waves was honestly kind of boring. It was rough, it was flawed in so many ways. From the voice acting to the writing to the sound design, even the music. Nothing about it really landed. It felt like a train wreck in motion. The shift from version 1 to version 2 isn't just an improvement, it's a complete transformation. These two versions don't even feel like they belong in the same game. And I believe the devs understood this too, because if you played Wuthering Waves back when version 1 was still running, you probably noticed its insane rewards. Every patch handed out more pulls than we expected. We got a free 5-star and a bunch of extras on top. That wasn't just generosity, that was the devs acknowledging the truth. Version 1 did not deliver. And they did what any sensible dev team should do in that situation. They compensated us for a rough experience. But here's the crazy part. If you had told me back then that Wuthering Waves would grow from that mess into what it is now, an experience that brings the entire community together, I would have absolutely believed you, and here's why. This is something I've said before, and it applies not just to Wuthering Waves, but to every major gacha game out there. Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, Zenless Zone Zero, and even the ones yet to come. At the moment of their release, they all have one thing in common, and that is potential. I think we can all agree that very few gacha games come out good right out the gate. Most of them don't launch the way the devs intended or the community hoped. There's always a bug, a missing feature, or something that just feels off. But even with all that, there's still this thing, this potential, that we as a community sense when a gacha game drops, especially the big ones. That's why even when Genshin launched with its fair share of bugs and problems, people stayed, because Genshin had that potential. You could feel it. It wasn't perfect, but you knew it could become something huge. And that same potential was there in Wuthering Waves too. But here's where Wuthering Waves separates itself from every other major gacha game we've seen so far. How it actually responds to that potential. With Genshin Impact, when the game launched 5 years ago, we all saw the potential. We were excited by the realization of that potential. We wanted Genshin to be big. But here's the wild part. 5 years later, Genshin still feels like it has potential. 5 years of updates, 5 years of storytelling, 5 years of trial and error, of feedback, of community engagement, and yet, it feels like it hasn't fully arrived. But with Wuthering Waves, it's a completely different story. You see, when it came out last year, there was a moment. At this point, it's basically a meme, but back then it was huge. The devs listen moment. That moment was a huge turning point for the community. Before that, sure, we'd seen hints of dev feedback, little tweaks here and there, but never something solid, never something that felt like, yes, the devs are really hearing us loud and clear. But the devs listening moment in Wuthering Waves turned all that around, and it all started with something small. A puzzle in Hongjeng that required a gun-type character to complete, and on paper, it was nothing major, just switch to a gun character and solve it, but the community made a mild complaint, and we said that it would be nice to not have to rely on gun characters just to do puzzles. And literally, in the next patch, the devs dropped a utility, an item that any character could use at any time to solve gun puzzles. Now let's be real, nobody uses that thing today. It barely matters now, but back then it meant everything. It was the first moment where we realized that Wuthering Waves isn't just a game with potential, it's a game where the devs are acting on that potential, where community feedback leads to actual tangible change. That was a moment. And what makes it even crazier is that that trend continued. There came a point where with every update, we started expecting something from Wuthering Waves. Whether it was a crazy story beat or useful utility, better quality of life features, a free new character, or just some solid rewards, we looked forward to every single patch. Because the devs had shown us time and time again that the community mattered. They made us understand that no matter what else is going on, they were listening. Even when the story wasn't hitting, even when there wasn't a lot of content to grind, even during those early shaky moments, the game itself showed us that there was potential. And more importantly, that potential wasn't just sitting there, it was being acted on fast, because every update brought something new, every patch brought a change, and soon we were seeing those changes even in the rougher moments. In the Gacha trailer, the voice acting suddenly got better. In Hongjiang, the environment leveled up. In the Black Shores, the storytelling started to shift, even if just a little. They gave us QTEs, actual quick time events, something we had never seen in Wuthering Waves stories before. And that was the moment we really started to notice that little by little, bit by bit, they were improving everything they got wrong at launch. And this may sound like the standard, this may sound like something that every gacha game should be doing. But surprisingly, there are very few gacha games that have shown us that they can improve as fast and as well as Wuthering Waves did at that time. Then fast forward to Renesita, fast forward to the 2.5 story, fast forward to just 1 year later, one measly year. About the amount of time it would take most gacha games in Wuthering Waves shoes to shut down entirely. Fast forward to now, and Wuthering Waves has shown us something remarkable. Not only can it keep up with our expectations, not only can it exceed them, not only can it push beyond them, it can completely shatter them. It's done something I never thought I'd see in the gacha space. It made everyone talk. I mean, the conversation about Freelover is everywhere. Some people are hyped, some people are frustrated, emotions are all over the place. But the important thing is everyone is talking. Everyone is trying to understand what's happening. Everybody is engaged. And no matter what you think of the story, whether you love it, hate it, or are still on the fence, I think we can all agree that this is good for the community. This is what we need. Games that get us talking, games where story, gameplay, and mechanics all come together to deliver something solid. Games where with every new version, the experience doesn't just continue, it evolves. And that is what Wuthering Waves has given us. And more importantly, that's what they continue to give us. So now the big question is, what does this mean for gacha games moving forward? What does it mean for the ones that haven't launched yet? With everything Wuthering Waves is doing right now, with the conversation that is sparking, what should we expect from the future of gacha? I think we should all be beyond excited, because what Wuthering Waves has shown us is this. Reguna, Septimons, every new mechanic we've gotten, the environments, the vibe, the energy, everything about these nations and the Renesita arc, it's all setting a standard, whether we realize it or not. From now on, every gacha game that drops after Wuthering Waves will be compared to this experience. Because Wuthering Waves has proven that gacha games don't have to be what we've always accepted them as. Gacha games can be more. They can tell us powerful emotional stories. They can deliver that level of hype and immersion we used to expect only from AAA titles. That thrill, that weight, that feeling of being part of something real. Wuthering Waves has brought that into the gacha space. And I'm telling you right now that while you're listening to this video, there are dev teams at other gacha companies sitting in meetings, reworking their stories, rethinking their mechanics, reevaluating their whole formula because of what Wuthering Waves has done. Now yes, if you look at the revenue charts, Wuthering Waves might not be pulling in as much money as other big titles, but that's not the point. This is a long game, and what people don't get is that with everything Wuthering Waves is doing, if they stay on this path, even with the occasional stumble, even when an event or a story doesn't quite hit as hard, we, the community, know what they're capable of. The devs have earned something rare in this space, trust. Wuthering Waves has solidified itself as one of the important gacha games, a standard setter. It's a game that, even if it struggles, even if it fails in the short term, it will never truly fail. And that kind of trust, that kind of relevance, it doesn't fade easily. So whatever expectations you have for the next gacha game you're looking forward to, turn them up a little, because yeah, we know the reality. Gacha games rarely launch perfectly. There'll be bugs, there'll be balance issues. You might not enjoy it at first, you might even hate it. But we've also seen what's possible. Wuthering Waves has shown us that the potential in these games isn't just an empty promise. That with the right mindset, with the right devs, and with a community that gives honest feedback, that potential can be transformed into something magnificent. So yes, expect greatness, expect growth. Expect these games to grow from mediocre to mind-blowingly good, because now we know it can happen. But what do you think? Do you agree with this outlook? Or do you see something else going on in gacha space? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I genuinely want to know where you stand on this. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one.